Good morning, everybody.
Good
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, that's better. Make sure you're all alive.
It's a good thing we got Peter here
Yes,
to liven up the group.
It's so dark in here.
Well, it's not dark for us.
No, I know, but
Right for us.
Can we get the house lights up a little bit so I can see people?
Well, it's a real pleasure. As I mentioned before, we're not going to be reciting bios as we come up onto the stage, but if you scan your QR codes on your lanyards, you'll not only have the illustrious bio of my friend and brother, Peter Diamandis, but you'll also be able to use the Slido for questions. And so I have this fancy iPad here. I will be monitoring your question requests, and I will be asking my dear friend Peter a few questions towards the end.
I'll be asking my AI for the answer.
Okay, there you go. And you know, like I said, I'm not going to go through his whole bio, but Peter is an incredible entrepreneur, visionary, dreamer, and a doer, and he's also the founder of XPRIZE, and we're going to be hearing a lot about XPRIZE today. But before we get started, I'd like to queue up a video that will literally, in just a few moments, explain the mission of XPRIZE.
For more than 30 years, XPRIZE has proven that bold ideas fueled by catalytic philanthropy can change the world. We've turned $519 million in prize competitions into more than $31 billion in measurable impact, a 60x return on philanthropic capital. That return isn't just measured in dollars, it's impact you can see, unlocking breakthroughs that empower humanity and make us better stewards of our planet. XPRIZE competitors have improved oil capture technology by 3 times, catalyzed tools to detect Alzheimer's, dementia, influenza, tuberculosis, and RSV, educated 10 million children in 74 countries, kick-started the commercial space industry, drastically reduced the time to map the ocean floor, accelerated carbon removal technology. Each breakthrough points to something bigger. The XPRIZE model, uniquely engineered to turn bold ideas into real-world impact. Our competitions are audacious in ambition, tackling challenges so big and complex that others won't touch them. Rigorously designed for outcomes, built to turn bold visions into tangible solutions, measured, tested, and ready for the real world. Catalysts for lasting change, sparking industry, shifting policy, and moving the impossible to the inevitable. This isn't theory, it's a model that unlocks innovation, attracts capital, and reshapes the future. And the impact continues long after the prize is awarded. Teams go on to build companies, transform industries, and set new global standards, improving the lives of millions worldwide.
It takes talent, vision, and innovation, and it takes a global community with the brightest minds.
XPRIZE does such an amazing job of allowing the competing companies, not just the winners, I think the whole community, to be part of this whole movement which they create around that challenge.
And we're just getting started. Our unique model will continue to advance breakthroughs across 5 frontiers: energy, climate, and nature, health, food, water, and waste, learning and society, deep tech, and exploration. Each one holds potential to transform sectors and unlock a future of equitable abundance. This is not philanthropy as usual. This is the business of breakthroughs. Our competitions attract the world's most visionary philanthropists, policymakers, and innovators, partners who share our bias for action and drive to spark breakthroughs bold enough and big enough to shape the future. The future will be defined by those who act. Don't watch from the sidelines. Be part of the solution. Invest in innovation. Invest in humanity's future. Invest with XPRIZE.
Amazing. So I thought it was important to show that video because it summarizes a lot of Peter's work. But Peter, before we kind of jump into it, what prompted you to want to start XPRIZE?
When I was 8, we landed on the moon. And when I was 8.5, I watched that scientific documentary called Star Trek. And it inspired everything I've ever done. And as I started to sort of mature in my career, half of me was medicine because my dad was an OBGYN, my mom wanted me to be a doctor, the other half of me was space. I realized that NASA was never going to get us there. And it was slow, cumbersome, risk-averse. The Apollo program was never repeated. And I was like, screw this. There needs to be a better way. And I think a lot of my belief is that there is always a better way. You just need to dare to go and try and do it. And being what I would describe as a libertarian capitalist, I was like, okay, you need to create a commercial spaceflight industry. And I said, how do we get it out of the hands of government and into entrepreneurs? And I had just read a book called The Spirit of St. Louis that Charles Lindbergh had written in 1957, got the Pulitzer Prize, and chronicled his journey from New York to Paris, not on a whim, but to win a $25,000 prize. And I'm like, oh my God, this $25,000 prize, all of the teams, 9 of them spent $400,000 to win, and they automatically backed Lindbergh, who was the most unlikely guy to pull it off. And I said, that's it. I'm going to create a prize for private spaceflight and try and give birth to the private spaceflight industry. Long story, it took the better part of 8 years until I met an amazing woman, Anusha Ansari, who's on stage next. She was the benefactrix of the original Ansari XPRIZE, the $10 million prize, and now is our CEO. I'm very blessed by that. And it lit the fuse. On the heels of that prize being won, Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, SpaceX, all these companies got started. I was able to recruit Larry Page, co-founder of Google, on our board, Elon Musk, James Cameron, and we started saying, what are problems in the world that are solvable but not being solved yet, or problems that people believe are impossible to solve? And how do we create a competition to inspire the brightest minds around the world to smash those problems, to attack them, to solve them? Why? Because we are evolutionary bred as humans to compete. We do our best work when we're competing, right? Whether it's competing for a spouse, or in the Olympics, or in business, right? So why not use this competitive energy to solve the world's biggest problems? And so that's what we built. We built an organization that works very hard to find problems that are either taking way too long to solve or no one's focusing on them. A great example is the wildfire. I'm so pissed. Every year there's a fire. Oh my God, yet another fire. And we're trying to fight that fire in the midst of a conflagration, right? Where there's like it's like, could you not have put it out at the beginning? Right? Like, when's the best time to solve a cancer? Like the first cell, not when it's metastatic throughout your body. And I ended up saying there's got to be a better way, and I said, okay, we're going to create a prize to detect the fire at ignition and put it out autonomously, no humans in the loop, within 10 minutes. So that became the Wildfire XPRIZE. Mark Siegel in the room here, one of our board members and benefactors, is a donor to that prize. Thank you, Mark, for your support. That prize will be won this summer. And then we'll have no excuses for wildfires after that, period, unless the ones that you plan. So what is a problem that exists that you think shouldn't exist? And how do you inspire, incentivize the brightest minds in the world, which may well just be AI agents at this point? I'm not laughing about that, I'm serious, to solve those problems.
I wish we had the wildfire prize, and we started trying to raise money for it well before last year's fires. It's amazing, and I think it's important for people who don't know about XPRIZE to understand the origin story. But one thing I love about this forum today, we're going to be talking about wildfires at some point. We're talking about HealthSpan. We're going to be talking about space and space medicine. All of that touches XPRIZE. So of all the things that XPRIZE has done or that you've been a part of, what are you most proud of?
The next one.
Okay, amazing. That's good. That's good. No, it's important because you're always trying to think ahead.
I mean, there's so much, and you have to understand. I spent half my life in AI and half in longevity, and focus on sort of exponential tech through my companies, my investment firms, my podcast, my programs, and the speed at which things
You can buy them all, by the way.
What's that?
I said you can buy them all, everyone. You know?
The speed at which these things are accelerating is unfathomable. I mean, I now spend 30 hours a week just learning, consuming, reading to try and be able to summarize it on my Moonshots podcast or on my events. And I also, how many of you here have spun up like a Claude-bot AI agent? Anybody in the room here? Right? Max, raise your hand too. Right? It's like, I can't sleep anymore. Just the amount of productivity and the amount, it's insane. It's 100xing people's abilities right here, right now. We are in the midst of the singularity. We're at the inflection point and we're riding this wave. And 2 years from now, it's going to be unrecognizable to today.
And you know, you've been talking about it for a long time. Obviously, you started Singularity University. You've been talking about Singularity, and you know, you've also always been talking about moonshots. And we're talking about HealthSpan. This forum is built around healthcare for the most part. What is your view on what is possible with HealthSpan and the science you understand and
Sure.
incorporating all these other elements?
So about, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I started realizing that my vision of living into a Star Trek future had a problem. It was, I wasn't scheduled to live long enough. And so the question is, how do you attack that problem? And about a dozen years ago, I started focusing on longevity as an area of focus. Partnered with Bob Hurry and Craig Venter, started a company called Human Longevity, Inc. Then went on there to build a large venture fund investing in this area, and then Fountain Life, and then a few other companies, and then teamed with Jamie Justice and Anoush Ansari, who you'll meet in a little bit on stage, and we launched a $101 million XPRIZE HealthSpan, whose intention it is to reverse the functional losses that you experience in cognition, immune system, and muscle by 20 years. That's the goal. I think we can go further than that, but 20 years is our goal, my goal. You can win money at 10 years. The goal is 20 years, my goal. So when I was in med school years ago, I remember learning that the bowhead whale lives 200 years old, the Greenland shark lives 500 years old. And I remember thinking, if they can live that long, why can't we? And my answer was, it's either a hardware problem or a software problem. And we're going to have the ability to identify, understand the root causes of aging, and modify it. And I firmly believe that. And it's not happening because we are becoming biologically smarter or because we have better sequencing tools. It's going to be the impact of AI, right? We have some 30 to 40 human trillion cells, and those 30 trillion cells are running 5 to 10 billion chemical reactions per second per cell. We're very complicated organisms. But it's modifiable. We all know that we go from a 30-year-old to a age 0 process over and over and over again. The information, the data is there. So, you know, Ray Kurzweil, who's been a dear friend, a mentor for me, put forward the idea of longevity escape velocity. The moment in time where science is extending your life for more than a year for every year that you're alive. And his prediction is that we'll reach LEV in 2033. That's our
It's not far away.
That's our call, LEV in 2033, right? And there's a lot of people who I believe will play a critical role in getting us there. We just saw David Sinclair's Life Biosciences. Full disclosure, I'm an investor in that company and a backer of David's work. You know, get FDA approval for partial epigenetic reprogramming studies starting in a week, next month in March. We have a number of other companies in that field. So this crazy conversation that's been going on in humanity for millennia of the fountain of youth, I think we're on the verge of extended health span, right? Lifespan is how long you're ticking.
Right.
Health span is how long you feel healthy, which in the US, you know, has a 14, 15-year gap.
Well, we definitely want to focus on health for a variety of reasons. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, and if you have any questions, you can put them in the Slido, and I'll have a chance to ask Peter. But I heard an interesting perspective once from a biotech investor saying that some companies fail because either the science doesn't work or they run out of money before they can show the science works.
Yeah.
What is a barrier to this endeavor that you're on for HealthSpan and
yeah, there's no question capital is part of the issue, but that problem is getting changed. One of the things I'm most excited about is what I would call science factories. There's a number of them, I'm an investor in some of them, where you have an AI system that is basically putting forward a scientific hypothesis, planning an experiment, and then robotic labs that carry out that experiment, gather the data, feed it back to the AI, and you're running this cycle 24/7 in a dark room, effectively. It's basically going to displace and reinvent university research. Graduate student slave labor is gone. It's now robotics and AI systems running in closed-loop cycles, faster than anything ever possible. And so money's going to be less of an issue. We extended it by 20 minutes, by the way. Don't worry about it.
Everybody relax.
Money is by far, more bucks, more Buck Rogers is the case. But I think finally it's also regulatory relaxation. Yeah. For the majority of companies, doing anything on the verge. I mean, it pisses me off that if you're dying, if you have a medical condition, you're not allowed to experiment with yourself. Just pisses me off. I mean, what right does some regulator have to tell me I cannot try a risky procedure if it's my life? And I've got to fly to, South or Central America to do that. So luckily, we're finally having some relaxation in the United States. But anyway, regulations and money. Yeah.
Well, I think, you have always been talking about moonshots. You've always been talking about crazy ideas and breakthroughs. You have a new book coming out, so tell us a little bit about what that book is about and how you see that playing out.
So in 2012, I wrote my first book called Abundance, The Future is Better Than You Think. Before abundance was a term, or before it was a popular term in the tech industry, and it wrote that...
It's true, by the way. He did talk about it before other people.
Yeah, saying that technology is a force that takes anything that's scarce, including time, and makes it abundant over and over and over again. There's nothing that's truly scarce. It's contextual. So abundance was a huge success. We hit number 2. We didn't hit number 1. Some crazy story. Anyways, but I was opening talk at TED that year, and it was great. I had an amazing co-author, Stephen Kotler. We did well in that book. 14 years later, we're writing the follow-on. It's called We Are as Gods: A Survival Guide for the Age of Abundance. And the abundance story has gotten off the charts. It's just gotten extraordinarily better. But there's also a dark side of abundance of plastics and carbon and diabetes and depression and all of these negative elements, while at the same time we're seeing massive increases across the board. I mean, the notion that the single most powerful force in the universe, intelligence, is now effectively free to 8 billion people at ever-increasing abilities is crazy, right? And the challenge is going to be during this extraordinary period of abundance where all of us are godlike. What we did between breakfast and right now is godlike. I mean, the ability to know anything, communicate anywhere, it's like just, it's omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence at an extraordinary rate. And the question is, what do you do with that godlike power? What will you do with it? What's in your heart, what I call your massive transformative purpose? What is your moonshot? Where when you have that ability, you can't sleep at night because you're on that mission. And I think we hold 2 futures in superposition, right? From a quantum term of superpositioning. One future is that Star Trek future, where we are collaborating with technology to do amazing things in the world. And the second thing is that Terminator future. I did a podcast with Elon last month, and he goes, yeah, Roddenberry versus Cameron. I get it. It was funny. And so which future do we want to manifest for ourselves and for our kids? It's a difference between being a creator or a consumer, right? So these powers are giving us abilities to create. What will you create? What moonshots will you take on?
It's amazing, and we'll talk about XPRIZE. Obviously, throughout the day. But I think one of the things you and I have talked about is the storytelling around the future.
Yes.
And instead of having this constant...
Should I tell that?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So, get on my soapbox here.
We need your help.
One of the concerns I have is that we're going to have a pandemic coming. Not a viral pandemic, but a pandemic of fear. And that pandemic of fear is going to cause social unrest. And that pandemic of fear comes from people not understanding what's happening to their jobs, their kids, their future, because AI is happening so fast, it's causing people an increased sense of insecurity. The second reason I think we have this pandemic of fear coming is because, with all due respect, anybody in the industry, Hollywood has been painting a dystopian picture of the future over and over and over again. Right? It's Terminator, it's Ex Machina, it's Black Mirror. When I was growing up, Star Trek was that positive future of collaboration that I said, that's the future I want to live in. I guarantee you, you show the movies coming out of Hollywood now, that's not the future I want to live in. So we need a vision for people. We need a vision for our kids, something that people go, yes, that's what I want to create. That's what I want to be part of. So with a number of individuals here and with the XPRIZE, we're going to be launching on March 9th something called the Future Vision XPRIZE. It's going to be a global competition. It's an unusual XPRIZE, unlike anything else. Eric, you're a supporter at some level, yes?
It's hard to turn down.
Yeah. So this is going to be a competition where we're asking creatives around the world to come forward with a 3-minute trailer and a film treatment for the movie that they want to create that shows a hopeful, compelling, abundant vision of the future. Thank you for that. We're going to have tens of thousands of these 3-minute videos flooding YouTube. We're partnered with Google and Range Media. The Roddenberry Foundation, Rod Roddenberry, the son of Gene Roddenberry, is one of our donors and on our support here. And we're going to be down selecting ultimately the 5 who will win $100,000 and get their scripts fully developed, and 1 whose film will get made. If we raise enough capital, we'll make 2 or 3 of those movies. And we're creating an engine of positive storytelling. I want to flip the script. I want to get people telling, I want it to be cool to tell amazing visions of the future, not one where everybody gets decimated by an AI and a killer robot at the end.
So look out for that, and you can join us in that effort as well. Thank you very much, Peter.